You've been staring at that screen for an hour. You know exactly what you need to do. The list is right there. And yet, you're still scrolling. I used to call that laziness. I'd sit there at midnight surrounded by unfinished work, genuinely convinced I was just a weak person who couldn't get their act together. I'd go to bed feeling guilty, wake up exhausted, and do the whole thing again the next day. But here's what I've come to understand, and it changed how I think about pretty much everything. Laziness is not wanting to do something. Burnout is wanting to desperately, and having nothing left to do it with. They look identical from the outside. They feel completely different on the inside. When you're burned out, the part of your brain that handles planning, decision-making, and self-control, your prefrontal cortex, is genuinely impaired. Not metaphorically. Actually impaired, the same way your legs give out when you've run too far. You can't think your way out of that. You can't motivate your way out of it either. You have to stop and actually let something recover. But here's the problem. We don't know how to stop. When we hit that wall, we don't rest. We numb. We pick up the phone, we put on a show and watch 4 episodes without remembering a single one. And the whole time, one eye is open, thinking about everything we're not doing. That's not rest. That's your body pulling the emergency brake because you wouldn't do it yourself. Real rest feels almost uncomfortable at first. 15 minutes of silence before the day starts. Lunch without a screen. Putting the phone down at 8 p.m. and just sitting with your thoughts for a bit. I know that sounds simple. I also know how hard it actually is when your nervous system has been on high alert for weeks. Your nervous system, by the way, has no idea about your deadlines. It doesn't understand your inbox. It only knows one thing. Am I safe right now? And when you've been running on coffee and cortisol for long enough, the answer it keeps getting is no. So it tightens, it speeds up, and you get stuck in this exhausting loop of ignoring the signs, pushing through anyway, and hoping the weekend fixes it. It doesn't fix it. You know it doesn't. The thing I keep coming back to is this. You wouldn't wait until you're passing out to drink water. So why wait until you completely collapse before you let yourself rest? Real recovery has to be built into the day, not saved for when you finally break. And I'll be honest with you. I'm still figuring this out. Some weeks I do it well. Other weeks I catch myself at midnight, scrolling, one eye open. But I notice it now. That's the difference. Tired you is forgetful, reactive, sees every small problem as a crisis. Rested you finishes a sentence without losing the thought. Rested you handles the hard conversation without it becoming a disaster. You are not a machine. You are not falling behind because you need to rest. You are falling behind because you haven't. Here's the thing nobody tells you about burnout. You can be high functioning and burned out at the same time. You can hit every deadline. You can show up to every meeting. You can look completely fine from the outside, even to yourself. But inside, everything costs more than it used to. Tasks that once took 10 minutes now takes half an hour. Conversations feel heavier. Small decisions feel like someone handed you a 50-page legal document and said, "Sign here." And because you're still performing, you convince yourself nothing is wrong. You tell yourself, "I'm just tired," or "It's just a busy week," or "Everyone feels like this." But here's the truth. Burnout doesn't always look like collapse. Sometimes it looks like competence with the volume turned down. It's the slow erosion of your spark, the part of you that used to get excited about ideas, projects, plans. And when that spark dims, you don't lose your ability to work. You lose your ability to want to. That's the cost. Not productivity, aliveness. And the longer you ignore it, the more you start to forget what normal even feels like. Recovery isn't a vacation. It isn't a weekend off. It isn't sleeping for 12 hours and hoping that resets your life. Real recovery is boring. It's unglamorous. It's the tiny, unsexy habits that slowly teach your nervous system, "Hey, you're safe now." It looks like going for a walk without turning it into a podcast marathon, eating lunch at an actual table instead of over your keyboard, saying, "I'll get to that tomorrow," and actually meaning it, letting yourself do one thing at a time instead of juggling 5, giving yourself permission to stop when you're tired, not when you're done. And here's the part that surprised me. Recovery isn't about doing less. It's about doing differently. It's choosing depth over speed, presence over pressure, sustainability over survival mode. Because the goal isn't to get back to who you were before the burnout. The goal is to become someone who doesn't burn out in the first place, someone who knows their limits, someone who honors their energy, someone who doesn't wait for the crash to start caring for themselves. And that version of you, they're not weaker, they're wiser. If there's one thing I hope you take from all of this, it's that nothing changes in a single moment, but everything starts in one. Not when you finally clear your inbox, not when life magically slows down, not when you earn a break. It starts the moment you decide to treat your energy like something worth protecting. Because burnout isn't a moral failure. It's a signal, a very loud, very persistent signal that something in your life needs to shift. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. And here's the part that still surprises me. The shift doesn't begin with a big dramatic overhaul. It begins with one small, almost invisible choice. Closing the laptop 5 minutes earlier. Taking a breath before you say yes to something you don't have space for. Letting yourself rest before your body forces you to. These tiny choices don't feel heroic. They don't feel productive. They barely feel like anything at all. But they're how you start telling your nervous system, I'm listening now. And when you listen, really listen, something opens up. Your thoughts get clearer. Your reactions get softer. Your days stop feeling like a sprint you're always losing. You start to remember what it feels like to be you again. Not the exhausted version, not the survival mode version. The version that has ideas, curiosity, patience, presence. The version you've been trying to push your way back to. So if you're watching this and something in you is saying, yeah, that's me, then let this be your moment. Not to fix everything, not to overhaul your life, just to start. Start with one small act of real rest. Start with one boundary that protects your energy. Start with one honest conversation with yourself about what you need, because you're not behind, you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're tired, and tired people don't need judgment. They need care. Take the first step today. Your future self will thank you for it. And as always, thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.